Hello everyone and welcome back to a brand new video and welcome to round 18 of season 2 of our F125 My Team career mode. Yes, we return this weekend here for the Singapore Grand Prix. Of course, if you missed out on the video that went live yesterday from Baku, I would highly recommend going back and checking it out. And we kickstart this weekend with some big news. Alex Albon, he is willing to engage in early talks with the team. So we need to try and really persuade him to make a move over to 2-2 Motorsports ready for next season. He is going to cost us a lot of money if we can sign him, but we've got a fair bit of cash in the bank, and I think he's going to be a worthwhile investment then. I really like the Thai driver in Formula 1. Of course, this is as close to a home Grand Prix as he gets at the moment, and I mean, there's a 67% chance of him to sign as well, but we would have to finish 4th in the constructors standings, or the team must pay the driver $2.2 million out of pocket as well. So happy to, keep those conversations going. I think, they're fair claims from Alex Albon. As you guys know, obviously, ourselves and Williams are fighting for P5 in the constructors. So it's, understandable that he wants to guarantee that he can make a big step forward ready for next season. Of course, yeah, if you missed out on Baku yesterday, it was a typical Baku race. In fact, I believe for the first time ever inside this game, we actually failed to see the checkered flag, which was rather disappointing when all is said and done. Dennis Helger have retired in 3 races last year, but I wasn't driving as him in any of those. And Callum Voisin, he finished every single race as well. So yeah, he did very well to obviously get to the end of the season. I've only just noticed as well, how odd is that Callum Voisin, according to the game now, is racing for VCARB, so he's obviously not in Season 2, but that's a little bit peculiar, and maybe just a little bit of a leak as we head in towards the future as well there. But 7 races to go of this season. George Russell now, his gap at the top has been slashed to just 44 points ahead of Charles Leclerc. Are we potentially going to see the Monegasque man, kind of make a big comeback towards the end of the year? He has won the last 2 races back-to-back, so it could be very interesting to see from Charles as well. Taking a look, obviously we've been getting loads and loads of upgrades into the team recently. I've actually only just realised that I can do 2 facility upgrades a go. So we're just basically trying to spam these out as quickly as we possibly can. Just trying to get, as many as we can into the team as well there. And yeah, obviously we're just going to continue spending cash money on getting all of those facility upgrades in. In terms of the current car performance, as you can see, we've dipped a little bit away from Hassan Alpine in the last couple of events. We can't really do a lot more upgrades. I'm waiting on Season 3 to see if we get some rule changes as well. Get yourself subscribed if you're new. We're trying to hit 150,000 subs on the channel. Also, if you want early access to all of the videos, you can click the join button. It costs just £1 a month. Like I said, you get early access to every video on the channel, as well as a few other little bits and pieces. But yeah, without further ado then, let's return here to Marina Bay.
As night falls in Singapore, the track starts to warm up, and it'll be red hot by the time we find out who's on pole for tomorrow's race. Time to set the grid then. Welcome along to qualifying here in Singapore.
Well, this weekend then, I've opted to start driving once more as Isaac Hadjar. Yuki Tsunoda, 87 rated now inside this game. He's genuinely one of the best drivers on the grid, according to F125, so I want to just give him an opportunity to try and score some points towards the end of the year. We're looking pretty safe for that P5 in the constructors, unless Williams, I'm ever so slightly concerned of like a Las Vegas or something like that towards the end of the year. But Singapore, on the other hand, has always been a happy hunting ground for myself inside this game. And it looks like as we head into race day Sunday, changeable conditions are on the horizon as well. So we'll have to wait and see as to what happens with all of that. Nico Hulkenberg, of course, a Formula 1 podium sitter now then, does just jump out of the way. It's a shame we haven't kind of seen Sauber doing so well inside this game as well. He's been able to pick up points here and there for the team, but not this season. The Sauber car is basically back to 2024 levels of bad. Well, last weekend we struggled to make it out of Q1 and then somehow still almost were able to make it into Q3. I'm just hoping this weekend we can have a little less drama. Sensibly, once more Q2 has always got to be the goal, but hopefully Q3 is going to be possible as well then, as through the final corner. We are going to run a 27.3. We go P7. Very happy with that. But there we are then, Charles Leclerc just ahead of Esteban Ocon and Max Verstappen. No idea what's happened to Mercedes. They always seem to struggle around this circuit. But Oscar Piastri, 1.7 seconds off the pace in Q1. George Russell, 2 seconds off the pace in Q1 there. So maybe just the Mercedes didn't get a good run on the board. Annoying to see Yuki Tsunoda down in P17 as well. So he will be out in Q1. Yeah, I think we're going to struggle towards the end of the year. Whoever we're not driving as is probably going to be right on that cusp of Q1, Q2. But I guess we're once again flying the flag this weekend. Well, Max Verstappen then dips into the 125s now. Those kind of lap times around Marina Bay seem, you know, incomprehensible just a few years ago. But with all the track changes around here, it is now a very, very quick venue. And it does work quite well with these ground effect cars as well. I mean, look at that. Just throw in the car through turn 1 and turn 2. Oh, I want to try and dip into the 126s this session. As always, I basically use Q1 to kind of learn where and when I can't use the battery around a circuit. Be getting a really nice run out onto the Raffles Boulevard, maximising the speed, 200 miles an hour by the end of that straight. We're running maxed out downforce around this circuit. We're running Monaco level wings, and we're still able to get 200. We're also apparently understeering out into a wall. That doesn't bode well. Making our way then down in towards Sector 3, still 1.2 seconds up on the Haas of Jack Crawford. And he's done a 127.9 here, so we're looking pretty good still. That front wing damage really hasn't cost us anything on this lap, to be honest, just because how much grip the tyres are able to provide. Maybe the final corner we might just struggle a tiny bit, but we make it through there fairly clean as well. 26.6. We go P6, splitting the Mercs yet again. And there we go then, by the end of Q2, we're back to our typical 10 into Q3 there. Charles Leclerc fastest, just ahead of Max Verstappen. Pierre Gasly looking pretty good in the McLaren car as well. But yeah, your big four teams, Alex Albon and myself, that's why it'd be so good if we can get Albon into the team next year. Because, well, imagine if it was just, you know, 5 teams making it into Q3. That would be absolutely fantastic to see. Franco Colapinto, he'll be a bit disappointed down in P16. But luckily, I've saved myself a couple of sets of tyres, so we can really go ham in Q3. But as everybody else then comes to the end of their final run, we are just getting ready then to start ours here, and we need this to be the lap of my life if we want to go any higher than P7 on the grid then. Starting it with just 5 seconds on the clock. But let's see what we can do here in Marina Bay, trying to break even later down in towards turn 1. We did a pretty good job there to get the car hooked up where we need it. And then nice and tidy on the curbing on the exit as well there through turn 3 and turn 4. Again, just absolutely maximise the run out onto the Raffles Boulevard. A little bit scared that there is obviously going to be some slower traffic on this lap. But hopefully, you know, these are meant to be the quickest drivers in the world. They should be able to jump out the way of me as best as possible there as well. Again, rattling over that curb, it just does not work. Don't know why I keep trying it, so we're going to leave the car in 4th gear there, up over the top of the circuit, and we're going to find plenty of time again off the exit. Down into 4th once more. So we try and just carry the speed through as Esteban Ocon, I think, is getting a little bit in the way here. Luckily, we'll just about move, but doing a great job there. This should be where we gain a bit of time as well. So we'll try and carry the speed off the corner, and look at that, half a second up then. Could we dip into the 125s by the end of qualifying? Could we spring a big surprise against your front-running teams here? As again, really nice hookup on the exit of the corner. Hopefully we're not going to have to deal with any more traffic. 6 tenths up as we try and spot the braking about 90 metres out. Ready for the final chicane of the lap there. Nice and tidy on the throttle. 8 tenths up. This has been a ridiculous lap time here. 9 tenths up by the line. We go P4. Well, there we are then, P4 on the grid, ready for the Singapore Grand Prix tonight. Max Verstappen on pole, just ahead of Lando Norris and Charles Leclerc. But a 125.6, you could see as we made our way through qualifying just how quickly the times ramped up. And by the end, I don't think we could have found much more in the car by the end of that session. That might be one of the best qualifying laps I've done inside F1 25, but it's kind of irrelevant because we've got to survive 31 more of them here tonight. Let's get into it. We're ready for the Singapore Grand Prix.
Marina Bay hosted a Grand Prix that briefly ran in the 60s and 70s, but the Garden City re-entered the calendar for good in 2008. We missed it for a couple of years, but it was great to come back to the Singapore Grand Prix. And here's our track, 4.94 kilometers long, and overtaking chances into the first corner, into turn 14 at the end of the Esplanade, and now into turn 16 in the newly reprofiled sector that we first ran on in 2023. Still though, it's punishing and tough on the brakes, and the heat and humidity will take an effect on our drivers. So with the race not far away from starting, here's what today's grid rundown looks like. Max Verstappen put in a fantastic lap yesterday, and he'll start from pole position. And it's Charles Leclerc in P2. As we continue through the rest of the grid today, we have Hadjar, Russell, Carlos Sainz, and Piastri, Gasly, Ocon, Albon, and Ollie Behrman, Stroll, Norris, Jack Crawford, and Lawson, Antonelli, Colapinto, Yuki Tsunoda, and Jack Doohan, Aaron, Bortoletto, Pepe Marti, and Nico Hülkenberg rounds off the grid. That's it then, it's time to go racing as we head down trackside for today's race.
Well, here we are then. Lando Norris with a grid penalty, so we have been bumped to P3 on the grid then, just behind Charles Leclerc and Max Verstappen, of course, a four-time world champion and our reigning world champion. But rain on the horizon towards the end of the Grand Prix. I think the hard tyre is going to be the way to go here. Just start. I'm going to see when the rain's going to arrive, and then we're kind of going to make our judgment as to whether, you know, we can get to that wet period, whether it's going to get wet enough for the inters to be useful at the end of the GP. Ultimately, I just think the hard tyre is the best race tyre here as well. So it's kind of hopefully a win if we don't, win if we do. Kind of get the luck with the weather tonight then. But of course, if all of the AI is starting on softs, we might really struggle through the opening few laps. Verstappen, he just wants to try and claw away a victory. It looks like we've got plenty of drivers on hards. It's 5 red lights. It's going to be lights out, and away we go then, off to a fairly clean and tidy start. Actually, look at that, one of the McLarens there, Gasly, trying to get a good run in towards turn 1 as we will hook it up around the outside of George Russell through turn 1. And we keep the car around the outside through turn 2 as well then. Oh, giving him a big squeeze on the exit as we just got a little dip of wheel spin. Could have been, you know, championship defining for George Russell there had we made contact with him on the exit of the turn. Immediately as we make our way down the Raffles Boulevard, the Mercedes is going to fly by me. How much less wing is that car running than our own then? You can just see on the exit though, he's really struggling to kind of get the car slowed down, so we will go back down the inside, up at the top of the circuit then. If you're in a World Championship fight or not, George, I don't care, I'm here to fight. And we've got a big opportunity this weekend to try and get a good result on the board. Of course, we won a race last year, back at Monte Carlo as Callum Voisin. We've got a third place as both Tsunoda and Hadjar this year as well. So hopefully we can try and get Isaac Hadjar's second podium in Formula 1. But, you know, we want to try and go for a win, don't we, surely? As Verstappen already streaking away into an early lead here. Do the team have any update on the rain?
Okay, radar is clear. Weather is looking good for now. Okay, dries seem like the best tyre for now.
Like I said, it might only start raining inside the final few laps. It might not even rain in this GP. You just never quite know what's going to happen inside F1 25. So we've just got to stay on our toes. Come on then, we've got to really rock up to the back of Charles Leclerc there. It's all about getting a run though out onto the Raffles Boulevard. I know the AI running a little less wing than me around this circuit, so let's just try and carry the speed as best as we can then. We are going to get a run on Charles this time round as he's going to swing defensive. And we go late on the brakes, give him the room, and there we go. Nice Charles Leclerc, he knows it's not his fight this early on in the night. And now Isaac Hadjar trying to chase down Max Verstappen at the front of the order. I would love to get the Frenchman a victory. Oh, again, just not getting the run we needed there. Actually making quite a big mistake as he tried to get out into the Raffles Boulevard. And Charles Leclerc,
need to stay on form.
Yeah, he's not going to take two opportunities to go for that one. Charles Leclerc straight back down the inside then, as already feels like we're just struggling with the balance of the car a little bit. just slightly overheated those tyres, trying to get closer to Max. It's just not working. We can't really focus on the Dutchman right now. Got to focus on our own race. But I mean, yeah, you might be able to get out and pit and kind of still come out ahead of, I think it's Oscar Piastri at the front of that next train. Well, interestingly then, we can just see the McLarens now. They were keeping up with this little gaggle for quite a while here, but I think their medium tyres starting to reach the end of their usable life. Going to be very, very interested to see when Max finally decides to dive into the pit lane. There is Leclerc. It's a huge slide through the final couple of corners. How on earth do the AI hold on to that? It's so ridiculous, the fact they can do that inside this game. I wouldn't stand a chance holding a drift like that. Especially, you know, when you can hear them on the throttle as well. And then obviously it just snaps back in line, but yeah, clearly that goes to show Leclerc really beginning to struggle then towards the end of the stint as well on his hards. So, as we take a lot of curb there, got to try and get a run on him down the Raffles Boulevard once again. Some clear air here could really extend the life of these tyres. Whoa! By at least another lap or so with Charles Leclerc. That was a big old squeeze, so I'm going to return the favour, slam the door in his face up at the top of the circuit. Not a fan of that one, but we do make the move happen.
Nice overtake.
Mark there, happy with that as well, as you can just see how much we're all sliding around. Oh, we've got yellows. That is a Mercedes. That must be Oscar Piastri then. So Mercedes, bad weekend, going from bad to worse as Oscar Piastri will become our first retirement of the day.
Really good stuff.
Doesn't look like we're going to get a safety car for that one though, so I mean that's probably quite good for us, to be honest. It certainly would have worked out very, very nicely for Max Verstappen in this Grand Prix, but I think even when he does pit, he's going to come out in a lot of clear air here. He's been able to stretch those mediums half race distance. The Dutchman, I mean, he's just absolutely dominating. So have a listen into the weather.
No rain expected for the time being. Okay,
well, there we go then.
Seem like the best tyre for now.
So team don't believe we're going to see rain then towards the end of the afternoon as Max Verstappen peels into the pit lane just in front. So for the first time today, someone other than the Dutchman is going to lead this race. But, I mean, yeah, he's just been so dominant so far. Not really going to be a lot we can do against him towards the end. As again, Leclerc thinks about a move down the inside at turn 1, but just cannot quite get there. Oh, there we go. Charles Leclerc, George Russell and Pierre Gasly then all into the pit lane. So we've got to really push on then over these next couple of laps. There's clearly none of them interested in trying to hold up Verstappen, who's going to be out only 9 seconds behind us in this GP. Lando Norris, I'm sure, is going to peel into the pits at the end of this lap. I want to take these hards just 1 lap extra, so our mediums have got a little bit of an advantage towards the end of the afternoon. But yeah, I think we could be about to get undercut, although we did have a good couple of second gap to Leclerc. Well, there we are then, in the space of 1 lap. You can see Charles Leclerc's already brought that gap down to under 25 seconds here, so clearly the fresh tyres are working well for him. This has been a bit of a gamble from us, but hopefully it's going to pay dividends at the end of the race, as just about get the car slowed down into the pit lane. Verstappen, a 29.0. He's done a best lap over a second a lap faster than anything we've achieved tonight. He is on much fresher tyres than us, but that is still goes to show just how dominant the Dutchman has been throughout this event. Come on, we need a good stop, team.
Okay,
thank you very much. That's what we like to see.
Job on the turn in there, mate. Looks like a nice stop time. We're happy with that one.
Well, there we go. Leclerc going even faster. And no surprise then that he's got the jump on me. So does George Russell, as I almost get a penalty for exceeding track limits then. But coming out just between the McLaren cars, surely we can still get a podium here, because we're going to be on fresher, softer rubber right the way through to the flag. Come on then, we've really just tried to be gentle, building up the temperature into these tyres, but we've got to try and go for it now on Carlos Sainz. Yeah, also just been trying to recharge up the pack then to make sure that we can get round him nice and quickly as well. We can see the McLaren, how good this drive is off of the corner. We should be close enough as our Sainz actually goes defensive, so we will swing right around the outside then, down at those final couple of corners. That was a little bit brave, but happy to make the move happen then. And now we've got 3 seconds to George Russell, as that is almost a new fastest lap of the day, just narrowly missing out to Charles. There we go, and to deal then with some lap traffic here as well. That Sauber I think that's Nico Hulkenberg there. He's going to get in the way of George Russell quite badly, actually, down at that corner. I mean, what is he doing? Back out of it, man. Why is Nico Hulkenberg racing me into the braking zone here? I get now that he's got a podium, but he doesn't need to get so confident inside this game as... Oh, we narrowly missed out on the DRS again then for George Russell by the time he got out of the final corner. But hopefully out of the Raffles Boulevard, we're going to be able to get him. Let's just see how much more grip we've got. Only a couple of laps fresher tyres. But I'm just a little bit worried that George otherwise is going to get in the range of Charles Leclerc here. So we've got to try and get on with it quite quickly. Now, I really want to get a podium again for Isaac Hadjar in the latter stages of this season, as Russell can't quite force him defensive that time round. I thought maybe if we show the nose, he can get a mistake out of the... I was going to call him German then, but his car, his team, Mercedes, is German. George Russell certainly isn't, though. He's about as British, quintessentially British, as they come. But anyway, let's just see then if we can try and attack our way over the Anderson Bridge. Get right up on Russell's gearbox then. I think we're a little bit too far back to try and go for a move there, but we'll try and open up the run off the corner. Hopefully get the throttle down nice and tidy, but you can just see again a little bit too much wheel spin there, so we'll have to back out and not really go for anything this time around. But surely now, I just see how good the AI's traction is off of those corners. We are really burning up our set of the medium compound tyres, but down the inside we will go. They're almost running into the back of Russell, but we make it through up into the podium places again. And surely Charles Leclerc is going to be a bit easier to navigate. Well, the place where we're actually best at the moment is the final corner against Charles Leclerc. Because of how much more wing we're running, we were able to take it basically flat out. And the AI are nowhere near that. I've also just noticed on the mini-map that the next car we're going to have to try and navigate here, or the next group of cars, includes our teammate Yuki Tsunoda. So, this really it's not been a good weekend for our teammate. Not entirely sure we'll get to him by the end, but he's going to be close. Well, this might be our last real opportunity then to try and get a run on Charles down the Raffles Boulevard, because next lap he might well have the DRS on those cars in front. But again, you can just see how much we're struggling in the dirty air to really do anything against him. Less than 2 laps to go, but Max Verstappen 25 seconds up the road now. What a dominant drive it has been by the Dutchman here tonight then. But will there be any more chances against Leclerc? We are really just hoping that the blue flags are going to play into our hands.
10 to 15 minutes.
Yep, that's quite irrelevant with a lap and a half to go with this GP mark. But you can see Jack Crawford, and I believe those V-carbs there just in front. They might give Charles the DRS that he needs, so we tried. Oh, we will get to the inside of Charles Leclerc then, surely. Now we might be able to get a run on him. As with just 1 lap to go, Crawford! What is he doing? Jack Crawford there just broke right in front of me. Somehow we get to the inside of Leclerc on the exit. I've got no idea how we've done that. But suddenly this race becoming very dramatic.
Clean so we don't end up with a penalty, okay?
Well, I got no idea how we've just navigated through that. I don't even know where we picked up damage on the car. I think it might have just been the tyre again, as that front right must be so close now to getting a puncture. But 1 more lap to go then, here of the Singapore Grand Prix. Leclerc again trying to have a look for it down in towards turn 1 there, but he does not have the grip in towards the corners. Pepe Marti, he's going to dive out of the way, but I want to try and make sure that he does it after I've got the DRS, which I will.
Really good stuff.
So that gives us just a little bit of extra margin now, and I think Leclerc's been held up behind him as well. Charles Leclerc now in real trouble on this final lap of the Grand Prix. Paul Aaron, the next car that we're going to have to navigate, and surely we can't lap our teammate Yuki Tsunoda by the end of this then. But Verstappen up at the front of the order, making his way down in towards the final turns of this GP. We are just trying to keep it out of the walls now, trying to be smooth on the steering. But I think Leclerc's medium tyres have absolutely hit the cliff. Max Verstappen, he hasn't won much this season, but when he does, it is an absolutely dominant drive. He's never actually won the Singapore Grand Prix IRL, but through the final corners tonight, he is going to win this season and just adds another victory to his campaign. The Dutchman, a dominant display, 26 seconds clear by the end of this. But can we lap our teammate Yuki Tsunoda by the end? It'll be a rather embarrassing result for our teammate here. And what has, been another tough night for him. It does beg the question, why do we keep him on the payroll if we're going to be able to get these kind of results with Isaac Hadjar? 91% front right tyre wear, but we do survive.
The checkered flag is out. We're going to be hearing that Dutch national anthem again because it's victory for Max Verstappen.
And they led every single lap of the race. It was a light to flag victory, and that is total dominance.
Only 3 can take to the podium, and here they come. But there can only be one on the top step. Your number 1, Max Verstappen.
Well, there we are then, 25.7 seconds clear come the checkered flag. It doesn't get much more dominant than that inside F125, but Max Verstappen, what a drive it was. We come through for our best result of the year so far in P2, just ahead of Charles Leclerc. Honestly, I've got no idea how we made that move happen between him and Pepe Marti towards the end of the GP there. George Russell will be disappointed down in P4. Another day, another Mercedes not on the podium, just ahead of Gasly and Carlos Sainz. Lando Norris in P7 ahead of Esteban Ocon, Alex Albon and Liam Lawson rounding out your top 10. That gives us a pretty good margin ahead of Williams in the Constructors' Championship towards the end of the year. Lance Stroll, Oscar Piastri both going to see the checkered flag, but I mean Verstappen lapped up to P14 here. Just goes to show how quick he was all night long. Russell now 41 the lead at the top of the table. That is still coming down with just a handful of races to go, but I would safely argue it is now a 2-horse race between the Brit and Charles Leclerc. I don't think Lando Norris or Verstappen really stands a chance towards the end of the campaign. Gasly still in P6 just ahead of Ocon and Carlos Sainz. We are now just 7 points back behind the Spaniard as well, so maybe we've got to focus on racing as Isaac towards the end of the year. But Tsunoda still only 8 points back behind Alex Albon. It would just take one good result to try and see a shift in the championship standings as well. Constructors-wise, Ferrari now 1 ahead of Mercedes again. That's just how close that battle is towards the end of the year. We're pretty much guaranteed P5 now, I think, unless we get a miracle run towards the end of the year. Thank you all so much for watching. If you have enjoyed, please do make sure to leave a like, get yourself subscribed, and we'll be back very soon when Formula 1 returns ready for the US Grand Prix.